Few years back, it was only smaller companies buying through marketplace. Now, most of the large transactions also happen through marketplaces. And it's all the reasons why the marketplace became so powerful and so ubiquitous. All that gets transitioned to agents, right? The same seamless buying experience, same way to compensate our own field, if you will, which is very important as well. As you said, it's all about go to market. If you cannot track enough number of customers and not have the right distribution channels, the rest of it doesn't really matter. When this AI agent explosion happening, you have to have some way for these agents to communicate with one another, exchange information in a secure way, authenticate who you are and what you're set out to do, and in a way get the customer workflow done without compromising the data that you're operating with. All big challenges. Every part of that sentence has a challenge in it. There are two things that we are striving to do. Number one, we want to be the platform for our partners and customers to build, buy, implement, and value create from agents. That's our motto. Second one is we're doing everything to help our partners.
If you like this insight, subscribe to Partner Insight newsletter used by 3,500 alliance leaders to leverage cloud marketplaces of AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. Learn about cloud commitments, how they grow into $500 billion in end of 2025, why B2B sales are changing to marketplaces and digital channels, how channel partners are not going away but actually accelerating on cloud marketplaces, and what are the marketplace revenue playbooks that top-performing alliance leaders use to get to the fastest growth. Join Partner Insight newsletter and get top cloud go-to-market growth strategies weekly in your inbox. Today, I'm super excited to have in our podcast Rayn Veerubhotla from Google Cloud, Managing Director of Partner Engineering in Google Cloud. And given that Google Cloud itself is partner first, right? It's like super important position and super important topic to talk about today. I'm super excited to talk about agent ecosystem, how this connects with partners, how this connects with marketplaces, and so on. Rayn has an incredible background, 7+ years in Google Cloud and SAP before that. So maybe to get us started, Rayn, tell us a little bit more about, like in a few sentences about yourself, and like why are you excited about this agentic AI topic for today?
So first of all, Roman, glad to be here. Glad to be on this podcast with you. So I manage the partner engineering function for Google Cloud. We work with our partners to enable them on Google Cloud and to bring some of the latest technologies, such as generative AI, such as agentic workflows to the partners. Not only enable them, but to co-innovate with them to create new solutions. I'm super excited about this topic because agentic workflows by itself would be one of those tectonic technology shifts in the industry. From the previous era, of course, Gen AI has already started the journey, but agentic workflows makes it real. Apply Gen AI into real world business workflows. Super excited about this topic.
Google is somewhat unique, right? Because you have vertically integrated stack, and when you ask companies why they prefer this provider versus other provider, they say that Google is enterprise ready and you have like model and everything else. Can you talk a little bit more about what makes your approach to agentic AI in general kind of unique?
You touched on the key differentiation there, Roman. We are the only vertically integrated stack for generative AI and agents, right from silicon all the way to models to applications on top. We not only provide each and every element of that stack, but we strive to be best in the industry at each of those individual tiers. So if you, for example, if you look at the infrastructure tier, we offer Google-built TPUs, which are highly price performant, especially when you talk about large models, best in the industry. We also offer the latest and greatest from NVIDIA, so you have a choice. But TPUs give you the price performance if you are an Apple, if you are an SAP, and you're working with very large models. The next year, if you look at models, I don't have to say much. Gemini has really proven itself, especially
Incredible
Gemini
model, yes.
2.5. It's top of the leaderboard now. If you take it, Hugging Board or LMSys or any of those leaderboards, it's right on the top. We're really glad the way we are innovating with Gemini, and we are incredibly proud of the feature set that has come into Gemini, and we continue to enhance it with more reasoning and agentic capabilities. So it's clearly best in class there. If you go the level higher, not only we have the fully integrated Vertex AI stack, we also agent development kit for partners and customers to develop agents. And most importantly, the A2A protocol that connects everything together. So at each and every step of the way, we try to bring innovation into the mix. And frankly, it's being recognized. If you look at the analyst commentary, if you look at latest Gartner or Forrester reports, we are on the top when it comes to AI infrastructure. Gemini is the best model, bar none. If you take again the AI model comparison that Gartner has put out, and I can go on and on. But at the end of the day, proof is in the pudding, right? We are getting fantastic response from customers and partners where it matters most. One of the statistics that I'm super proud of is 90% of all Gen AI unicorns are on Google Cloud today. And they are the most discerning when it comes to technology stack. We are very proud of the fact that they chose to bet their future with us on Google Cloud.
Yeah, we had in our recent event Glean, right, which is like one of the breakout successes in AI, and it's kind of built on GCP. And I was in Google Next, which was fantastic event, by the way. Congrats on that. It was all about AI agents, and was so many companies who were excited about Google Cloud and agents. But I guess if you look under the hood, right, building AI agents and helping companies to build AI agents on Google Cloud is very non-trivial thing to do, right? So you need to do a lot of plumbing and engineering on the background. Given your role as a MD of partner engineering, can you talk a little bit what does it take to enable this agentic AI for partners and for customers?
Great question. Look, I see two things as the major obstacles to roll out these agentic workflows at scale in production deployments. First and foremost is security. In an enterprise context, nothing can be done if you don't have the right security controls and if you cannot guarantee the IP protection and compliance requirements. So we have worked very hard. We are, by the way, secure by design. Everything that we do from ground up, security is built into every stage of our product evolution. We are spending a lot of time. If you look at agents, especially, how do you maintain the traditional security and access controls that are built into systems of record through access control lists, popularly known as ACLs or otherwise? How do you take all the years of security and compliance infrastructure that you've built and take them into the agentic world without any gaps? That is a fundamental challenge. Again, if you look at the connectors in the agentic world, that the connectors not only need to mind the business when it comes to the data, but they need to bring the access list with them so that we can tell the AI models and ultimately the applications that are built on AI models who could actually use which data at the runtime. And that has been the number one challenge, if you will. Solving the data challenge compared to the security challenges is somewhat easier, if I can use the relative scale, if you will. The second area that is very important is governance. in this era, anyone can create an agent, anyone can deploy an agent. There are 100 different ways to deploy agents, from no code to low code to fully custom built agents. How do you create as an organization governance on what agents are relevant in my organizational context? What are the version control for these agents? Because you don't want rogue agents pillaging your data. And most importantly, who can access what in what context? How do I respect the organizational controls and ACLs as I go to the agentic workflows? This is an area, again, we are investing heavily. This has been built through right from our A2A protocol to everything that we have done. This is our number one consideration, if you will.
Totally agree. I guess like possibly yourself, but some others also think that there's going to be thousands of engines, right? Like hundreds and thousands of engines. So it's going to be humongously complex task on sort of like on the top of on the visible side, but also on the invisible side, right? And like this kind of ties to the question that I wanted to ask about Google Cloud openness, right? As a principle, right? So you kind of you have your own stack, but you also open to others, and this is kind of gives the benefits of both worlds for customers and for partners. Can you talk about like opportunities and also challenges maybe of this approach?
First and foremost, we fundamentally believe that one tool, one model, one technology cannot solve everything. Especially in the AI world, that is more true because you will see purpose built models, purpose built agents for specific scenario built with specific set of tools. Having openness is very important in this context. And again, if I go back to our vertically integrated stack, we took that principle to heart. At every stage, we have built openness. So not just TPUs from a hardware, but we support GPUs. Not just Gemini models, but if you now go back and look at our model garden, we have 200 plus models available, giving again the openness and the customer choice. Customer can pick and choose any one of those 200 models, and it's ever increasing that number as we go along. Again, when you talk about A2A, the agent to agent protocol, the basis for that is openness. Agents could be built with any technology underneath, may or may not use Google tech, may or may not be leveraging Gemini as a LLM. But one fundamental thing, they all need to be open and talk to each other. That is what A2A accomplishes. So this is something we have been striving to do. And that is something, again, we'll offer our own Google agents, we'll have third-party agents, we'll have the concept very similar to model garden, an agent garden. I know that's not an officially sanctioned term, but you get the picture in terms of what we are trying to do here.
I'll look forward to talking more about agent-to-agent protocol and how you sort of like launched it, and now others are kind of adopting it. But before that, let's talk about marketplace, right? Because I think you have in your title you have engineering, but also partners, right? And I think reality is that I, as a CEO of a software company, for example, we built some products before, but if you cannot really reach distribution, all you're building kind of doesn't really matter, right? So, and I think you have built your own very successful cloud marketplace, which is now transacting billions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
And then, can you talk about how your AI agent marketplace connects with your cloud marketplace? You also have your customer agent space, right? Which is we can talk more about that. So how does this all work together? What opportunities for others to leverage that?
So Roman, you're absolutely right. Agents pay, first of all, marketplace is increasingly the way to go to market for a lot of the companies. We're seeing this secular shift. In a few years back, it was only smaller companies buying through marketplace. Now, most of the large transactions also happen through marketplaces for the right reasons. It reduces the whole friction in the procurement process, it streamlines the whole process. It allows companies to aggregate their spend in terms of commits and have a better term. So there are a lot of good reasons why that's happening. And you're right, marketplace is seeing billions of dollars right now, and we're really glad to see the traction. Now, agents become a natural extension to marketplace. So our vision and our approach here is the agent marketplace is part and parcel, though a dedicated section, but part and parcel of the overall marketplace. And partners should be able to seamlessly build and deploy to the agent marketplace, very similar to the way they do with their regular marketplace. And all the terms and conditions, all the reasons why the marketplace became so powerful and so ubiquitous, all that gets transitioned to agents, right? The same seamless buying experience, same way to compensate our own field, if you will, which is very important as well. As you said, it's all about go to market. If you cannot attract enough number of customers and not have the right distribution channels, rest of it doesn't really matter. So 100% agree with you there.
Right, and you were the first who launches agent marketplace. If you look into the future, how do you envision this to evolve 3 months, 6 months, 12 months from now? Because it's probably harder to look beyond that.
First of all, things are moving so quickly in a nice way that you're right. Things are at a breakneck speed, which is a good thing for the industry. So I see the agent marketplace evolving to be a place where customers come in to discover and find and deploy agents, and also have tools to stitch these agents together to create a comprehensive business workflow. That's the future where I see that customers kind of, and it's already happening. If you look at some of our partners, what they've done with agent marketplace, one of the partners, for example, built an end-to-end accounts payable workflow, completely built using agents, virtual agents, not human agents. And they deployed it in a couple of very big customers in Europe, and the results were really telling. So in one instance, for one of the large insurers, they had a transaction cost of 20 to 30 euro per transaction for every invoice that's processed through AP, because they have a lot of manual processing, a lot of shared service centers, a lot of human labor. They took that entire workload and converted it to virtual agents using agentic workflows, and they were able to reduce the per transaction cost from 20 to 30 euros to 60 cents per transaction. You see the business benefit, and that's the way I see it going. Now, to answer your question, where do I see this go from a marketplace perspective? You will see a very specific monetization models evolve. Three models come to mind. One is per transaction basis. If I have an agent, say if I'm a travel agency, and I charge you $10 per booking, that's one monetization model. There could be a monetization model which is outcome based. When you reach a particular outcome, you're paid X amount of money. So, as an example, if you are a call center agent and if you have achieved more than X% of call deflection rates, then you get paid $1 million. I'm just making up numbers, right? That could be another business model. The third is, say, a hybrid model. Say if you're a weather company and you have a model where you charge for your subscription, right? The weather data. But you have some specialized services on top, like weather predictions or weather risk analysis or environmental impact that you charge extra on top. So it's a hybrid model, subscription plus a one-time fee for additional service. So there's going to be multiple monetization models that will evolve. The good news is marketplace does support all of them today. But I see that's where the industry go in future.
Makes a lot of sense. I guess, like, given that AI is moving from experimentation to production, right? And you probably can talk a little bit more about that in a second. I think the monetization model will be kind of not maybe easy, but relatively easy to figure out, given that it produces a lot of value. You have many partners already, right? That are publishing agents on GCP marketplace. Can you talk a little bit, like, what are the opportunities for them? What are the steps? How do you support them? So, like, how they should lean on this? Because I think that agents is like a sort of new iteration of software in a sense, right?
100%. The good news is the monetization opportunity is becoming clear not only for hyperscalers like us, but for every partner. In fact, every board is asking, what is your generative AI agentic story? So this is becoming a ubiquitous thing, and we're seeing the adoption. So far, I've seen these numbers are a month old. I'm sure the numbers have become even bigger now. Already 50 plus partners have built and deployed, used thousands of agents on our agent marketplace today, right? These are all as of today. From our company perspective, we are a partner first company. So we definitely want to work with our services partners and all types of partners as we bring this agentic ecosystem alive. So a big part of that is we work with our services partners to for every implementation of agent space, there's typically a partner engaged. In fact, it's mandatory right now that you cannot do an agent space engagement without either some kind of a professional services help. So we are also committed to making sure partners are fully up to speed and ready to help customers in this agentic journey. We are putting 100 million fund towards learning services dedicated to partners so that you have the best available talent and best practices, if you will. I know that it's oxymoron, best available best practices, but you need all that it takes to bring this agent workflows into your reality.
Interesting that agents are essentially an opportunity for SIs, right? Like system integrators and service partners to sort of productize their services a little bit, right? So I think it's really interesting. And let's talk a little bit more about that in a second. But before that, going back to Google Next, which was, like I said, fantastic event. One of the big announcement was this agent-to-agent protocol, right? And I think it was a lot of talk about that, but there's also a lot of talk about MCP, which is another protocol everyone is sort of excited. But I think agent-to-agent is a big deal, and I think the fact that your agent-to-agent protocol being picked up by others is a even bigger deal. Can you just maybe like recap what is that, why it's significant, and where it is right now?
I think we have fundamentally a big challenge in the industry as we get into this agentic workflows. Agents are all powerful. We have seen examples of that, but they can be built in myriad of ways using very different tool sets, and they can do one or many tasks. So you have this many to many problem of all these mushrooming agents. In fact, there's a statistic. People expect more agents than physical employees in organizations very soon. So when this AI agent explosion happening, you have to have some way for these agents to communicate with one another, exchange information in a secure way, authenticate who you are and what you're set out to do, and in a way get the customer workflow done without compromising the data that you're operating with. All big challenges. Every part of that sentence has a challenge in it. This is where A2A protocol comes in. It creates an opaque protocol where the data that's underlying the agent is never exposed. It lets two agents talk to each other, It takes care of the security umbrella on top to make sure who can do what. It also has the concept of which agent can do what. So that is what is needed right now. It's definitely one of the first protocols in the industry to be that comprehensive and to be available for anyone to use. You don't have to build your agents just with Google technology. You could have built it with any other tool. You could still apply A2A. Right? That's the power of A2A. And the big positive for us is A2A being picked up by industry in such a fast pace. We have seen major organizations throw their weight behind A2A, 50 plus odds already directly contributing in an open source fashion to making A2A better, including Microsoft, who is one of our biggest competition. So we're really pleased where A2A, first of all, we're very pleased about the product itself and where it's headed. We believe it's going to be one of those cornerstones in the whole agent to agent networks.
100%. I think if A2A sort of enables different agents from different companies to communicate and work together, it's like it's basically the essence of partnerships, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of like enable that. Can you talk a little bit like what are the opportunities for partners it unlocks maybe?
This creates a new channel for partners to think customers' IT systems as agentic workflows. And it gives them a new way not only to integrate systems, but to deliver outcomes to customers. At the end of the day, it's all about delivering outcomes. I talked about AP example, cutting down accounts payable, where you're cutting down the transaction cost. There are many such examples. We're working with PwC, where they're building a clinical assistant agent to help oncologists to make them a lot more productive. HCL Tech has a manufacturing quality agent as part of their insights tool, which looks at your defect rate, it looks at maintenance records and gives you actionable recommendations. We see a ton of these ways where companies are taking this technology and turning that to deliver outcomes to customers. So it's a brand new monetization channel and a very big one. And that later lies the opportunity for all our partners to seize this. And we are doing our best. I talked about the 100 million learning fund, enable them technically with tools, enabling them for best practices, and even hands-on support from my organization. All that part and parcel of making sure agents are real and partners are in a position to make full use of this new technology.
So very important part of this kind of agents, right? And generally speaking, AI in general is to be grounded into the data, right? It's company data, internal data. This might be like a good opportunity to talk about agent space, which is sort of connected with all of that. So how do you envision your agents kind of from agent marketplace, maybe other agents kind of working all together with company data within the umbrella of like being secure and compliant and sort of everything else?
First of all, I talked about the importance of security and compliance. You can really take, and any CIO will attest to this, you can't take any system into production unless your security compliance and all those checks are met. It's fundamental. And that's the challenge. How do you bring your data in a secure way using best practices in a very compliant way, and you make the model understand your data and deliver the right outcomes, right results. There are a couple of ways to do that. We certainly give you the agent builder and agent frameworks and agent developer kit, one single unit between the three, to help you build your own custom agents. But we also know that a lot of organizations will look to us to give them pre-built agents out of the box. This is where agent space comes in. So agent space is our panel to expose Google built agents to customers, pre-built agents. One example is enterprise knowledge search, which is an age-old problem. Knowledge is siloed in multiple systems. There's really no way to semantically search the entire knowledge base that you have and make any sense, right? We're trying to address that problem through agent space. We're going to also make available a couple of other Google pre-built agents. Notebook LM is one of them, and it's widely used for what it is, grounding based on few set of documents that you have to deliver insights, right? It does very well. There are other research agent is another example that Google has brought together, which gives you detailed reasoning as you ask it to go research a topic. So agent space is our effort not only to give you the infrastructure to build agents, but give you some pre-built agents so that you can get started on the agentic journey much faster.
What I love about agent space is that it's simple, right? And it's like essentially like a play store for customers that they can enable for their organization different engines, and then they can use it, if I understand everything correctly. What is interesting, kind of stood out to me on Google Next again, is that there was research showing that for every dollar, Jay McBain, kind of famous multiplier, right? For every dollar Google Cloud consumption, there's a $7.05 in partner opportunity. Can you talk a little bit more, like how do you think this agentic developments and future expands this opportunity potentially, or like changes opportunity in some sort of ways?
First of all, that multiple that you talked about, that exists because of our innovation agenda. We are not doing a lift and shift. In most cases, we are helping customers innovate, radically rethink their business process, make quantum improvements. And that is what allows you to have a higher services multiple than a pure lift and shift, which is typically 1:1 in the industry. And what better example to innovate than using agents? It's a perfect match made in heaven if you look at it, especially when you come to new outcome based models that we talked about. This will give them, the services partners, more ways to monetize their IP, more ways to actually maintain or even better that multiple that you talked about. At the end of the day, customers pay for value. And agentic experiences in generative AI gives you a perfect vehicle to deliver the value.
Exactly. I think like not that probably many people sort of internalize how big this service opportunity is, right? So we have, for example, we've been training people on cloud marketplaces, and we have a lot of service companies who want to leverage cloud marketplaces, but they sort of couldn't at scale because they don't sell software, they sell like services on top of that. So now all of a sudden, all the service companies can package their services, right? Potentially, right? Maybe like not immediately, but sort of midterm. And then also software companies who struggle with delivering their software, these services now also can actually expand the services, the software with like additional prepackaged agents. Super exciting. Do you see any like interesting examples, maybe sort of like in developments or things that companies are trying to do that are sort of emerging?
I clearly see a fundamental shift in the industry with AI. The typical opportunity for a services partner is changing. In the world of having large custom development applications is coming down. The requirements for coders coming down. The way people consume knowledge, the customers, is changing. So that's creating a fundamental shift in the SI business model as well. And one of the ways they have to innovate to kind of get through this is by packaging the IP that they have into agentic workflows, agents that they can monetize. And we see the trend from all the major SIs right now. They are in the process of taking the years of knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that they've built, the IP that they have, turn them into agents. And that's great monetization for them immediately. And also, that is the way companies are going to consume and architect their processes, which gives them the foundation to play big in the next generation systems. So I've seen this fundamental shift. I've seen every one of the large SIs, Accenture, Deloitte, so on and so forth, all following this path. You will see very soon. I mean, already we have seen a lot of our 1,000+ agents that I talked about came from our large SIs. It is their effort to package and monetize the IP that they have, and you'll see more of that in the coming weeks, months, and years.
Exactly. And I think to add to that, the services space with agents is infinitely scalable, right? You can scale your agents like almost infinitely. And then the service economy is such a huge pie, to be honest, that is like ripe for, not to say disruption, but like for taking. So going back to the 2025, many people think that it's going to be, it's already sort of a year of agents, right? When you talk with your partners and Google Cloud partners and all other alliance leaders, what do you typically say to them? What's your message?
So when I talk to the partners, I typically lay out the generative AI and agentic journey that we have seen. If you go back a couple of years, if you look at 2023, that's when generative AI became prime time. People started hearing about it. A lot of companies started the path of doing POCs. Some of them even took this type of early production, but mostly POCs. That was the state of the business in 2023. If you look at 2024, kind of progress, some earlier adopters moving systems into production, scale deployments of Gen AI, and the models maturing as well. The rate of change in the models is coming down, models are stabilizing, and you have now tools around the models. You talked about MCP, you have a whole bunch of other tools. MCP allows you to connect with tools, whereas agent to agent A2A protocol is about communication between two, because these are two different fundamental things. I think I didn't address this question earlier. But the point I'm making is now the tools are maturing. As you look to 2025, it's all about agentic workflows. From where we are, this technology matured in 2 years to actually solving business problems through agents and delivering customer outcomes. So we clearly see that's the future. A lot of people say 2025 to be year of agents. I would say it's a little premature yet, because we are still in early phases. But at least we have started going down the path of agentic journey in 2025.
Completely agree. I've been using some agents myself, and when you see them sort of like doing work instead of you all of a sudden light bulb kind of goes off, and you kind of start to understand how big this could be, right? So, but I'm curious, like you mentioned that there's going to be some people think that there's going to be more agents than employees. How do you think we're going to buy and kind of manage all of this, like thousands or whatever, like hundreds of agents?
There's a famous quote here. The role of CIO is changing. I think Jensen said this, but very apt quotes. I'll quote him again. The role of CIO is in future CHRO for agents. So that's really apt in this age of multitude of agents, order of magnitude more virtual agents than physical employees that organizations will have. So in this context, it's important. I would say having a structured framework for rolling out agents in your organization, while you have controls in place for security and compliance, and you have strict processes around governance of agents, that would be key to the success. There are two things that we are striving to do. Number one, we want to be the platform for our partners and customers to build, buy, implement, and value create from agents. That's our motto. Second one is we're doing everything to help our partners meet the customers what they need to go through this agentic journey. I talked about the learning services, the 100 million investment we are making in partners. We rolled out specific certifications. My team is working with a lot of our number one partners, bigger partners, around hand-to-hand coaching and best practice development. We are totally committed. This is a 50 billion TAM that we see in near future. And we want our partners to be ready to serve our agents. As we bring new technology, we want to make sure there's a partner delivery capacity available to turn that into reality for customers. Those are the two things that we are working on.
Super compelling. One question that I have in my mind, I'm sure that you kind of been in Google Cloud long enough. You probably remember the days when the first cloud marketplace has been launched, and everyone kind of like in the industry was freaking out that it's going to be not for partners. Partners will be sort of left behind, and I can imagine that there's some mentality like that may kind of like thought like that may sort of come up these days. So what do you say to those who like to think that, you know, partners will be automated or like agents will remove partners altogether? What's your message?
So first of all, I would say look at the history. Marketplaces only help streamline the procurement process. Now, certainly the types of partners and what partners need to know has evolved, right? From in the past, more focus on resell. Now, resell is less important in this world of marketplaces, but more important is services partners. So there will be incremental changes, but overall, it's a great positive thing for the industry. And our advice to partners is always focus on customer value, focused on digital transformation journey, and see what is needed for customers to be successful. In every era, be it the client server era, the web era, now agentic era, AI era, in between AI and agents and combining. Still, the end goal is provide value to customers, right? And there's always very big opportunity for partners. I would ask the doubters to go look at the history of each of those tectonic shifts in technology that happened.
100%, because I think until recently, everyone thought that channel partners will be left behind. So now channel partners are winning pretty big, right, in cloud marketplaces. And yeah, I agree with you. That you mentioned that it's 50, maybe like to wrap
50
on the
billion.
things. You
Yeah.
mentioned that it's $50 billion dollar TAM, right? Can you talk a little bit more about that? And maybe to wrap us up. So you mentioned like things that Google is doing. $100 million fund, which is incredible, and educating partners, which is super important, I think. Going back to sort of your motto, putting partners in the center, what's sort of next, and what should partner kind of think about or focus in the next like 3 to 6 months?
Partners should look at and embrace the agentic transformation as the new value add opportunity for you. It doesn't matter what type of partner you are, channel partner, ISV, SI partner, services partner. There's a lot for you in this. The market is exploding, and we've seen this. Every board, every company is asking this question: how do I reinvent myself in this agentic world? You have the platform to make real difference to these customers. We are giving you all the technology, all the enablement, all the tools for you to be successful. We need our partners to embrace this. Get ready. At the end of the day, we keep saying it's all about depth of knowledge in your specific industry and how do you add value to that industry. Within that context, all these technology and tools become a great way to deliver the value. Build this into your digital transformation journeys for your customers. And we will let's together drive some additional value. That will be our message to partners.
Amazing. So Ryan, thanks so much. I have like so many questions. We can continue for like a few hours, but kind of mindful of your time. Thank you so much for your time today. Incredible work with partners and incredible work with building full stack of AI. And I think your message is very compelling, right? Of becoming the platform for AI agents together with partners. So thanks so much, and I'm looking forward to doing second round at some point.
Thank you, Roman. Thank you for having me, and let's go be a big part of this agentic transformation for our customers and partners. partners. Thank you.
If you like this insight, subscribe to Partner Insight newsletter used by 3,500 alliance leaders to leverage cloud marketplaces of AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. Learn about cloud commitments, how they grow into $500 billion in end of 2025, why B2B sales are changing to marketplaces and digital channels, how channel partners are not going away but actually accelerating on cloud marketplaces, and what are the marketplace revenue playbooks that top-performing alliance leaders use to get to the fastest growth. Join Partner Insight newsletter and get top cloud go-to-market growth strategies weekly in your inbox.